Hello, everybody. Quick disclaimer before we start episode 31. My guest, Kevin MacBride, lives in Iowa, so to do this episode, we had to remote him in both with video and audio. Unfortunately, this experiment didn't go too well, and we lost the video file, and the audio file had to be patched together. Fortunately, I was able to patch together something pretty good for episode 31. It revolves around the NFL draft, as well as Kevin and I catching up on old times. So enjoy it. Unfortunately, there's no video file, but the audio file should get you through. Again, thank you for tuning in and enjoy the podcast.
You have no idea how efficient people get. It's off the charts. What would you be like? 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 What would you be like?
3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here with episode 31 with my good friend Kevin MacBride. Kevin, you reached out to me not too long ago. You told me you were a total NFL draft nerd and you wanted to come on the lodge, and it's my honor to have you on here. How's it going, man?
Thanks, man. Yeah, I've been a little bit of a draft nick for a little bit, and I just like thinking about every team. I just like looking at the draft history, what the team needs, and things like that. And so I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to share with you guys what I think. And if I'm right, cool. If I'm not, I'm just glad to be here. So if you follow the draft, I'll tell you the number of picks. What's up? Oh well, shit. I am a New Yorker. I should be cursing on this, right? I think first pick, it's kind of silly at this point, but Kyler Murray, I guess he's going to go to the Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury is the coach. There's a ton of draft rumors, and it's kind of hard to ignore them. I have no idea why they're going to do this, but they have Josh Rosen, and I guess they're just going to keep him and try and trade him someday. Who knows? But I guess if the Rams want to, if the Cardinals want to compete with the Rams and the Seahawks and the 49ers in the NFC West, they're going to have to pick a playmaking quarterback.
I'm just saying they're going to need a lot more than just a playmaking quarterback to get their act together.
Oh yeah, dude, you're 100% right. I think they're just gonna go best player available, and that's gonna be Kyler. But I agree with you 100%. They need a lot of other things. Uh, 49ers, they take Nick Bosa, man. John Lynch loves drafting DNs. He's drafted 4 in a row with Arik Armstead, DeForest Buckner, and Solomon Thomas. Why not cap it off and have a stud DN in Nick Bosa? They signed D Ford over the offseason, and I've heard some things that they might trade Solomon Thomas. It's not really working out for their defense, but who knows what they do. They have a ton of needs. I think they take an unbelievable defensive end out of Ohio State, Nick Bosa. All right, so next one, the Jets. All right, the Jets are picking third. I think they're going to take Josh Allen. He's out of Kentucky. He's pretty good. The Jets have had the best player fall to them every single year. I think they're super lucky to get someone like Josh Allen. He's kind of like an Anthony Barr that they missed out on in free agency. He's an edge that could rush the passer. He could drop back in coverage. He's just super athletic. I think a lot of Jets fans would be happy if they got Josh Allen at 3. All right. Cool. Hopefully my New York fans are happy with that. The Raiders are at number 4, and I think the Raiders get Quinnen Williams. He's a super young defensive tackle, but he was clearly the best player in college football last year. It was kind of a flash in the pan, but I think at this point the Raiders need the best defensive lineman they can get. The Raiders last year in 2018, they had 13 sacks total. And so to put that into a little bit of perspective, someone like Bradley Chubb was the 5th pick. He had 12 in his rookie year. So you could draft somebody in the top 5 and they can make an impact in your sack totals. I think Oakland needs some help, and Quinn Williams is a guy. To finish out the top 5, Devin Williams is a linebacker at LSU. Devin White. Devin White's a linebacker at LSU. He's super athletic. They lost a middle linebacker in free agency, and I think they just need to, take the best defensive player available and have a leader lead their defense. He's pretty versatile. Todd Bowles is the new defensive coordinator there. So whatever kind of defense he wants to run, 3-4, maybe bring back the Tampa 2. I think Devin White is a super freak athlete that can do anything you ask him to do. So that's the top 5. Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa, Josh Allen, Quentin Williams.
Of those top 5, who do you think has the best career?
Oh, wow. Of those top 5, that's a really good question, man. I'm going to have to say Nick Bosa. I feel like it's in the family. He was clearly proven in college. Why not? I think he's going to be really well. There's a lot of other guys around him that are pretty good, so it's not like he's carrying the whole defense. I think Nick Bosa is going to shine.
Awesome, man. All right, let's move on. Let's go to number 6.
All right, big shock. I think the Giants pass on a quarterback and they take Rashawn Gary out of Michigan. I think they pass on a quarterback, and I think they take Rashawn Gary. I think David Gettleman likes this guy. He's a hometown hero. Coming out of high school, he was the number 1 prospect. Everybody wanted him, and he went to Michigan. I have a feeling that Gettleman traded away OBJ so that they could focus on the defense and other things. And they have 2 picks in the first round. I think the first one they shoot from the moon. They take Rashawn Gary.
Hell yes. I'm happy because I'm an Eagles fan. So I love the idea of the Giants not picking a quarterback and Eli sticking around for the next 5 years. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Hey, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are up next. I think out of doing a lot of research, they draft guys out of Florida every single year. It's like they just pick the guys in their backyard. And I think they're going to take Jawan Taylor, an offensive tackle. He played right tackle for a few years in a row, and he was a stout pass blocker, run blocker. I think he's a day 1 starter for them. You got Leonard Fournette. You need an insurance policy for him. You got Nick Foles. You need to keep him upright. There's question marks at left tackle and right tackle, so why not take the best tackle coming out of Florida this year, Jawan Taylor?
Excellent. But I want to give a footnote on these Jaguars. Do you think the Nick Foles Jaguars have what it takes?
No, I think Nick Foles is a Philadelphia legend, and everywhere else he's not going to be what he is. As a Rams fan, I've seen it with my own eyes, and I think he goes other places and he just doesn't play as well.
I love him.
There's a reason why there's a trophy in Philly for him, right? It's not anywhere else.
Yep, and he eats for free in Philly. I don't know. I honestly, there was part of me I was wishing that he was going to just stay the backup quarterback forever, but that's wishful thinking. But let's move on. Let's keep pumping these out.
Yeah. All right, Detroit. I think they want to trade down. I've heard their GM say I can do it, but they take Ed Oliver. He's unreal, nose tackle. That's a FCS player. Every year, a player gets drafted from the FCS. These aren't D1 guys, so they don't play against the greatest competition. So people kind of look down on them. But Ed Oliver is a freak. I think Matt Patricia could use him any which way he wants.
Excellent. Keep them going. Let's go.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm an Iowa Hawkeye fan, so this makes me really excited to say I think T.J. Hawkinson goes to the Bills. The Bills did a lot in free agency. They filled a lot of holes, and they did a lot on the offensive line and wide receiver, but they have hardly any tight ends on the team. So I think T.J. Hawkinson's going to be a nice big target for their run-heavy scheme, but also a nice big target for Josh Allen.
Fuck. Yes, do you think the Buffalo Bills are starting to get it together? Are you liking the offseason they're having?
I like what the Bills did in the offseason. They made more moves than anybody, especially on the offensive side. They might go defense here because they made so many moves on the offensive side, but you're going to start seeing a lot of these teams in the AFC East start trying to make moves because I think the crown is cracking in New England, especially after all that shit that whatever his name is. Who's the owner?
Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft.
I can't think of his name right now.
Mac and cheese man.
Yeah. After all that stuff's going down. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think a lot of AFC East teams are going to start, trying to take back the throne now that.
We'll see. We'll see. I'd obviously have no problem with New England just disappearing, so I'm all for it.
I think a lot of people would. All right, next pick is John Elway and the Denver Broncos. So he is pretty notorious for drafting best player available, so it's kind of hard to predict some of these guys. They have their own boards, but they did just bring in Joe Flacco, and so with a new quarterback, I doubt they pick a quarterback. Why hurt him and bring in competition as opposed to helping him. So I think they bring in a really good offensive lineman, Jonah Williams out of Alabama. All right, so the Bengals are at 11. They got a new head coach. He actually came from the Rams, which is kind of neat. He coached with the Rams, and what's interesting is Andrew Whitworth, who's the tackle for the Rams, left the Bengals, and I think they're really hurting for a left tackle, and I think they take Andre Dillard out of Washington State. Um, he could
Andre Dillard.
Andre Dillard out of Washington State. He could play right tackle. He could play left tackle. He played a lot of passing downs, and I think Zach Taylor's going to come in there and ask them to pass a lot. They have a lot of weapons. Unfortunately, the only weapon on that offense is Andy. The only person that isn't a weapon is Andy Dalton. And so if they get a new quarterback, maybe they get a good offense. But I think they keep the offense upright as opposed to taking over a new quarterback. They could go defense here. They didn't have a great defense last year, but they usually go offense early. That's something I've seen in the history that they like to draft offensive guys.
So another
early.
little footnote on this draft. I'm noticing a lot of teams that I guess many people would expect to draft quarterbacks. You're seeing them pass on quarterbacks. Do you think it's a weak quarterback class after Kyler Murray, or do you think these teams are just going to be incentivized to take risks outside of the quarterback position?
No, man. That's a good question. So I guess another thing, now that we're out of the top 10, you could realize I have no trades. And so I'm not a GM in the NFL. I cannot predict a trade. What I try to do is I try to fit to a team. You're going to start seeing me talk about some quarterbacks later on. I think the quarterbacks in this class are all right. Maybe they might not have been on the same par as some of the Baker Mayfields or the Sam Darnolds of the world, but I think I try to fit players with teams, and so if those teams end up trading up, and I get that pick, or sorry, if I get that team to player fit right, that is really what I guess I'm looking for. So there are quarterbacks that are going to be coming up, don't you worry. But I guess just a little quick note is there could be a lot of trades into the top 10 or even into the top 11 to shake all the things up that I've talked about so far.
Excellent. I mean, it's going to be exciting to watch, especially in the next 12 hours or so.
Yeah.
It'll things are bound to heat up if they haven't heated up already between this conversation and when the episode comes out.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I have the Packers are next at 12. I think Montez Sweat's an absolute freak. I think unfortunately he's got this heart condition thing that might have him fall out of the top 10, but he goes 12, which really isn't that far out of the top 10. I honestly think he's going to be someone like a more lean Julius Peppers, and he played for the Packers, right? He played there for a few years, and I think the Green Bay values edge guys. They've drafted a lot of DNs and linebackers over the years, and so I think Montez Sweat fits in nice with the Green Bay
That's
Packers.
awesome. That's awesome. And the Packers need some help, man. They had a really off year, so hopefully they can have a good draft.
Yeah, and they have another pick coming up later on, so we'll talk about that too. All right, the Miami Dolphins, all right. I've heard a lot about, the Dolphins are going to tank for Tua. I think that's bullshit. I think they pick a quarterback this year and they develop him behind Ryan Fitzpatrick, who they even signed to develop a quarterback. He's going to be a filler for 2 years. Someone's got to sit behind him. I think they draft Drew Lock. He is a really talented 4-year starter out of the SEC. Dolphins have drafted a lot of guys out of the SEC over the last few years, especially in the first round. So if the Dolphins trade up for a quarterback, they might be looking at Drew Lock.
All right, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. The Falcons are up next. I think the Falcons take Christian Wilkins. He's a defensive tackle out of Clemson. Super versatile. I think he's really quick, and you can really put him in anywhere. Dan Quinn used to be the defensive coach for the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's going to find a way to fit him in any which way, and just have a really talented player on the field. The GM for the Falcons, Thomas Dimitroff, he really likes these character guys, and Christian Wilkins was the captain of that team, when he played for Clemson over the last few years. And I think he's a guy who could go earlier than this. Like, teams could really, really like Christian Wilkins. But I think he'd be a good fit in Atlanta.
All righty. Makes sense to me.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So Dwayne Haskins, I think he goes to the Washington Redskins. I'm hearing a lot of talk, over the last few hours that Dwayne Haskins goes to the Redskins and that they trade up to 3 to get him. So the Jets could be trading down to get some more picks, and uh, and and they could be having a guy like Dwayne Haskins sit behind Case Keenum. And here's why I think so. Dwayne Haskins, not only is he from Maryland, he's a hometown hero, right? They have Case Keenum, who was essentially going to play the same role that Alex Smith was going to play. He was just going to be a filler for another guy. And so Case Keenum's going to do the same thing Alex Smith did. But, you have a really young quarterback sit behind a guy to learn for a little bit. There has been quotes. Jay Gruden has said, we're not going to pick a quarterback to sit and learn. He's going to make an impact day one. But the Redskins franchise was so iffy and wishy-washy when it came to the Kirk Cousins thing. It doesn't surprise me to hear the coach say one thing and the front office do another. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they take a hometown hero, Dwayne Haskins, and have him
Well,
learn.
let me tell you something. There's going to at least be a few Giants fans listening who shiver at the idea of Dwayne Haskins going to the Redskins. I know myself, I've got a couple Giants friends who I see regularly enough who don't shut the fuck up about Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Like he's the next Tom Brady. So the Giants not going quarterback and him going to a division rival, that's going to piss some people off in New York, I'll tell you that.
Hey, to add a little bit of fuel to the fire, what if the Jets were the ones responsible for letting them do that, right? That would make the Giants fans hate the Jets a little bit more, and the
blowing
Redskins
my
fans
mind, dude. Getting me hyped.
Giants a little bit more. It's just you never know.
Oh, it's a war. Right? It's a war. Let's go. Let's keep going.
This is why the draft is great. Yeah, it is. It is a war. Yeah, it is a war. All right. Hey, so Panthers are up next. I think I did mention Julius Peppers earlier. They need some help on the defensive line. I think they draft Clelin Ferrell. He's a guy out of the same state. He's super versatile. I think he's good against the pass. He's good against the rush. He is a solid base 4-3 D end. You put two hands in the dirt and just let him go forward. He is that kind of guy. They like to draft these big athletes. Either they're super athletic or they're huge, and that's what the Panthers target day one. When they've drafted Cam Newton, he happened to be both of those things, huge and athletic. But you look at some of the draft picks they've had in the past, they're either these massive athletes or they're like super, super quick and speedy. But I think Clelin Ferrell fits that more of the big frame that they're looking for at D end.
That's awesome. Dude, you've really done your research for this. I'm impressed. Like, it's definitely well researched.
Yeah, I love the draft. Yeah, so the Giants are up next. Hopefully New York fans don't get mad again, but I think they're going to pass on a quarterback. I think they let a guy go and they draft a leader for their defense in Devin Bush out of Michigan. If I was David Gettleman and I'm looking at this draft and I say, hey, I want to make my team better, why not pick the two best pieces from the best defense in college football? And that was Rashawn Gary and Devin Bush. And so you get yourself a middle linebacker. His dad was actually in the NFL. He was a safety, and so he's got the NFL blood. And I think if the Giants were to draft a quarterback in the first round here, it might be a little slap in the face to Eli. They might respect him and say, hey, we're not going to go first round quarterback. We'd rather build our defense and have a steady run game. And that way, you build around Eli to replace him as opposed to just replacing him. Yeah, so hopefully Giants fans aren't upset with my next pick. I think they're going to pass on the quarterback, and they're going to draft Devin Bush, middle linebacker out of Michigan. If I'm David Gettleman, I'm going to try and make my defense better and build that run game with Saquon. And why not take the two best pieces from college football's best defense last year, Rashawn Gary and Devin Bush. So instead of replacing Eli, with this first round pick, they do have an early second that they could maybe do some things with, but I feel like they try to build around Eli instead of replacing him. And so Devin Bush, middle linebacker.
Fine by me. I'd be just fine with some more Eli Manning. Because you know what it is, man? Even when Eli's good, the Eagles have his number. Even in the years where Eli was great, we still understood what to do. So as long as the Eli Manning era is still here, we're good.
Yeah. I'm glad you hear that as an Eagles fan.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. All right, I think the Vikings are up next. Uh, so the Vikings need a lot of help on offensive line, but I think they draft Jeffrey Simmons out of Mississippi State. This is a dude that tore his ACL towards the end of the year. If he didn't tear his ACL, he seriously would be a top 10 pick. Um, and so I think some teams value that. They don't care about the injury. They do need offensive line, but the coach there is a defensive dude. Mike Zimmer loves his defensive line, and I think they're going to build from the inside out. If they did it on the offensive line, they'd probably do the same thing. They might go center or guard, but I feel like they go on the opposite side of the ball and go D tackle. When it comes to offensive line, you kind of need a team effort. You can't just draft one guy and make all your problems. There's 5 guys in the field to make it work. I think they could draft a lot of offensive linemen later, but their first round, they go Jeffrey Simmons, D tackle, Mississippi State.
Jeffrey Simmons. Okay.
Yeah, he's a monster. He is.
How big is he? How big is he? Give it. Do you know off the top, off the dome?
Yeah, I'm not that kind of guy. I don't know all that stuff, but I would say he's probably around 6'3", 345.
He's a big boy.
He's stout. He is stout. He's really strong on the inside.
Fuck yeah.
All right, dude. Next pick, I think it's the Titans. They go Jerry Tillery, D tackle from Notre Dame. Mike Vrabel needs a 5 technique. I think he has a really good interior pass rush, which is really valuable in today's NFL. And Jarrell Casey's a good D tackle there, but he can't do it all. I remember last season, or maybe it was 2 seasons ago, there's a video of Jarrell Casey running down from the defensive tackle position, a wide receiver that caught a pass.
So this boy's got legs.
Quarterback on him, and he is literally running. I mean, I'm just saying, you got to have more defensive playmakers. You can't have your nose tackle making tackles 40 yards downfield, right? You need to have some guys on your defense that are good. You got to put some help around Jarrell Casey. He's an all-pro. Give him Jerry Tillery to play alongside him.
Fuck yeah, I'm about it.
Yeah. All right, the Steelers. I think the Steelers shock everybody, and they take a mauler, Cody Ford, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. In free agency, they lost a lot. They lost their right tackle, Marcus Gilbert. They lost Le'Veon Bell. They lost Antonio Brown. But I think they have James Conner. I think they have Juju Smith-Schuster, and the Steelers get back to being the Steelers, and that's running the ball and playing good defense. And I think they do that behind a super solid right tackle. He can play right guard, right tackle. I think they have a pretty good right guard in DeCastro, but you could have him play outside and you could run the ball off him all day. So I think they draft Cody Ford. There's a little rumor about the Steelers that if they go visit your pro day, that there's a very high chance that they're going to pick you first round. And I've done my research. They've gone to his pro day, and I just have an inkling they might draft Cody Ford right there.
Well, if there's any team out there that needs a good draft right now, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've been a steady, consistent winning empire as long as you and I seemingly have been conscious of football. And the empire just crumbled in on itself last year. So the Steelers definitely need a comeback season, and maybe the draft could do that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Brian Burns, I think he goes to Seahawks. They just traded away Frank Clark. They have 2 picks, so they might as well take the best guy on the board and get another D end. They might do something later on with some offense. Who knows? But Brian Burns, Florida State, goes to the Seahawks.
To Seattle. Okay, how many more we got left? We're flying.
Yeah. I think there's 1, 2.
12 left. Okay.
I think there's 12 left. Yeah. So I'll try and go real quick. Baltimore Ravens, they go Hollywood Brown. I thought about the scheme fit. They run the ball super heavy. If you got a guy like Marquise Brown who can take the top off of defense, you got to have 3 guys on the field just to cover him. 2 cornerbacks and a safety. So if teams start creeping up 8 in the box, boom, you just give it over to Marquise Brown. I think the Ravens need a wide receiver. That's the guy.
That's the guy.
All right, Texans. They need a lot of offensive line help, but there's not many great offensive line in this draft. A few went early. They need some attitude on defense since they lost Tyrann Mathieu. They go Byron Murphy out of Washington, cornerback who's got a lot of bark. He's super aggressive. They have a high-flying offense. They score a lot of points, so teams are going to be passing on them. They have a pretty thin secondary right now, so getting another cornerback would be a pretty wise move. Yeah, first corner off the board. comes pretty late. All right, another Iowa Hawkeye, Noah Fant. I think Noah Fant goes to the Raiders. They got the second pick in the first round. Jared Cook was the best receiving weapon for David Carr last year, which says a lot about the Raiders offense. So if they get a guy like Noah Fant who can be what Jared Cook was and a little bit more, I think they're going to have a pretty nice offense in the AFC West. All right, man, your Philadelphia Eagles are up.
I'm pumped. If the pick stayed the same, I think I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah. I don't think it has stayed the same. I don't remember what I sent you, but I've been thinking about it. I think they go and they get Jonathan Abrams, a strong safety who's a linebacker out of out of Mississippi State.
I think that's the same one, unless you picked another strong safety, but you did pick a strong safety, which Eagles desperately fucking need.
Yeah, no, I think the Eagles lost a middle linebacker over the free agency. I've heard a lot of people say, hey, the Eagles need help in the secondary, but to be honest, they got a lot of guys that can cover, right? A lot of corners and free safeties. Jonathan Abrams could be that strong side linebacker, could be that eighth man in the box. He's super versatile, and he's just Philly tough. You know, he's just a dog, and he could just fit really well in Philly.
Well, that's what we need right now because we got killed on the deep game last year. We can't afford to be giving up, to be holding running backs to 40 yards a game, but then letting quarterbacks explode with Hail Marys in the fourth quarter like we did all year. So I'm all for the move. I hope you're right, genuinely.
I don't know. We'll see. I think he's a good fit there. The Colts are up next. I think the Colts draft Greedy Williams. He's got the best name you could ask for a cornerback. Greedy, just taking it away.
Greedy Williams.
He's going to fall in the draft because a lot of things, I've seen that he's not that great of a tackler. People are saying he's a little weak. He didn't have that great of a combine, but the plus about him, he's got ball skills, and you can't really teach that all too well. It's either you have it or you don't. And so I think it'd be nice for them to, get a nice luxury pick. They have an early second-round pick, so they might as well focus on the defense and help Andrew Luck with that second-round pick later on. Yeah, Colts could be something. That's for sure. All right, hey, Josh Jacobs comes off the board for the Raiders with their third pick. All right, really odd timing that Marshawn Lynch retires a few days before the draft. I'm hearing a lot that Josh Jacobs is getting some love from the Raiders. They could use a running back. Mike Mayock might like this guy. He's a new GM. Might as well take a steal and get his second player from Alabama. The thing that's really appealing about Josh Jacobs is he can do it all, but he's got hardly any of the tread. He had such a cool career at Alabama, and he was like the third running back. And so they just kind of spritzed him in every now and then. He made plays, kind of like another ACC running back, Alvin Kamara. And so people are making that comp, which is a little crazy. Who knows? People want to find the next Alvin Kamara.
You strike gold if you get Alvin Kamara.
Right?
That's gold.
What I'm saying. People are making pretty lofty comparisons, but he could be a super tough running back that you need right there in Oakland for you. But who knows? He might not be Alvin Kamara. He might just be Josh Jacobs. All right, man. I think the Chargers are up next. I think the Chargers go offensive tackle Caleb McGarry out of Washington. You want to hear a pretty weird fun fact about the Chargers? Ever since drafting Ryan Matthews in the first round, they have alternated their first-round pick, offense, defense, offense, defense. And so this year, I think they're going to draft a right tackle, Caleb McGarry. He could play right tackle in a West Coast offense that they have. But don't rule out the Chargers for being a dark horse candidate to trade for Rosen. They might want to get him back in LA. He's a UCLA guy. They might want to have him sit around and be the throne to Phillip Rivers if things go south in LA.
Well, again, further proof that you're a very well researched man, my man.
I have a feeling they'll go offense this year.
Okay, fuck yes, keep it going.
All right. So this name sounds super familiar to a ton of people, and the Seahawks just traded back in to do this. I think DK Metcalf comes off the board super late, and he goes to Seattle. There's a thing called Spark, which is it's a bunch of testing with all your numbers, and it basically tells you how much of an athletic freak you are. And the Seahawks use that as a little bit of a measurement to draft some of their guys. Why not give Russell Wilson a huge upside target in Metcalf? I think if he's there, why not take him? Metcalf to the Seahawks.
Alrighty. Seems to make sense.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm gonna move on here. Packers are up again. This might not be a very sexy pick, but I think they go offensive guard from Boston College, Chris Lindstrom, guy people really haven't heard of, but he's a senior, 4-year starter, was I think all American in the ACC. So teams really care about that stuff. When you play in good conferences and you play well, teams notice. So I think if you need to help Aaron Rodgers, give him a good offensive lineman to keep him upright and help the run game. That helps Aaron Rodgers too.
He could use all the help he can get.
Yeah. All right. Only 2 more. All right. My Rams are up. Again, not very sexy of a pick, but I think they need a center and they need one bad. And they go Garrett Bradbury, a center out of North Carolina State. He was a tight end when he actually started in college, and they moved him to center. So he's super athletic. He's super stout. And I think the Rams like to run a lot of zone stuff, so you need a super mobile center to do that. And I think it's more of a luxury pick, right? Losing the Super Bowl kind of stinks. So you get yourself at 31. You kind of are out of the range of all those super elite players, but you get yourself a super solid guy, right? Nothing wrong with passing up like a Honda Civic or a Toyota Camry, right? It's going to get you 10 years, super solid, a lot of miles. Why not get a center? Garrett Bradbury.
The key, low maintenance.
Low maintenance. Hey, you can say that with a lot of things. You're right. That's good. It's true.
Oh yeah,
it's very true. All right.
And then let's get to the evil empire. Who are they adding to the team?
All right. Again, super tough. I mentioned best player available. No idea who they're actually going to pick because it's hard to predict. But I think if they go for a player, they're going to go for one that's super smart at a position of need, and they go Paris Campbell out of Ohio State. He's just super smart, super reliable, good hands. He runs the routes the Patriots need him to run. He played in a scheme with Urban Meyer that translates well to the NFL. He clearly had success in college. The Patriots like that. So they're going to draft a guy who could help Tom Brady win some games. Paris Campbell, first round.
And there it is, all 32.
Yeah, so sorry if it was a little bumpy. I know we had some hiccups in the road. But no, man, that's a lot of the research I did being a football nerd. Thank you for letting me express that. I know you're a hardcore fan, and I just love talking football.
Fuck it, dude. Dude, once you approached me with this idea, I was like, abso-fucking-lutely. Oh my God. But dude, where did this all start? When did you start researching this heavy into the NFL draft and doing all these picks? When did that begin?
Yeah. In all honesty, it kind of started when I moved out here to grad school, to Iowa City. I just in my free time.
You got into the college scene.
Yeah. Iowa football was pretty cool. I think when I moved out here, I want to say they had a first round pick, number 5, Brandon Sheriff. And so I was super enamored, thinking wow, how sick was it that I just watched this guy play, 6 games in my hometown, and now he's going to be a starter in the NFL. And every year Iowa's had guys drafted, and I guess being at a Big Ten D1 school, I just really got into the big camaraderie of college football. And so I started doing my own research, and I just didn't want to do one team. I had to do all teams. I wanted to do every player. And so I just kind of got a little crazy. I will say Reddit has been pretty awesome. Reddit NFL draft has been pretty cool. I kind of go on there and blog with some guys and talk about the draft and do stuff there. Again, super nerdy, but I love it, man. I love football, and it gives me really something to do when there's no football, right? When there's, I don't know, I don't love the NBA, but when you're watching the NBA, right, I'd rather be thinking about the draft. So these are the things that I like to do in the off season.
Hey, I hear you, man. The NFL draft is always fucking exciting because you never know when you're going to get your next favorite player. It's like I don't even know how to put it, but it's such an interesting time, and for the NFL, it's so unique. Every of the big 4, every sport has its draft, but it's a holiday for the NFL. When it's the NFL draft, it's a fucking holiday, man.
Yeah, they're doing it up in Nashville, or sorry, I should say down in Nashville this year. So they are literally making it a party. It's gonna be pretty fun down there.
It's gonna be awesome. But hey, listen, we got into football a lot. We gave people some good content the morning of the draft. We hope you
Yeah.
motherfuckers get who you want. Giants fans, I hope you don't get Dwayne Haskins. Jets fans, I don't give a fuck what you do. But dude, you've been in Iowa a long time now. I know it's come up candidly over this conversation a couple times, but you've been out there for what? How long now? If you include college,
my fifth year living in Iowa, 2 years of grad school, and I've had a pretty cool job working for the university for 3 years. But yeah, man, moving from Long Island, was
that's so
big change
awesome,
for
dude.
me. But I've grown to love it. Midwest is a cool place to live.
Well, how often? Because you were mentioning that your fiance Maddie makes fun of your accent all the time.
Yeah.
How often do you have to deal with people who feel the need to mimic your accent or make it a thing or make it a topic of conversation?
I mean, it's just certain things like for example, really, it's happened a lot, right? But to give a recent example, March Madness, right? I'm talking with my coworkers, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's do a March Madness tournament," and they're like, "A tournament?" And I'm like, "No, you guys don't say tournament right." And so I make fun of them for the things they say weird, and they make fun of me for the things I say weird. But yeah, I guess one thing I realize is I go. I come out to Iowa and people say like, "Oh, would you like to take a tour of the campus?" No, it's a fucking tour of the campus, not a tour.
Tour?
There's no a
Like a
sewer,
sewer.
right? Yeah, that's so funny. A sewer, right? That's true. Yeah, yeah,
Take
yeah,
a tour.
yeah. But
That's
there are just
great.
certain
That's
things that
great.
I guess are just Midwest charm, that just people say out here. Um,
Well, accents are endearing, dude. There's something about accents that fascinate people or make people more likable. Like I don't know. I had a similar experience when I lived in Carolina, where like I
yeah,
couldn't help but adore the Southern accent, and they couldn't help but mock my Long Island accent.
yeah, for sure, absolutely.
But it's fun. It creates chemistry. Sometimes it's fun. It's fun to be the fish out of water.
Yeah. It definitely gives you something to talk about because you can tell who's from where just by hearing a few words, which is neat.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. But
Yes.
now
No, dude, that's funny.
I was gonna say you're. So I want to hop over to you a little bit more. So when you're not nerding out over the NFL, you're actually in a band down in Iowa City, if that's my
Dude,
correct
yeah, I
understanding.
am in a band. Yeah, so I mean, I honestly, bro, me and you were in the first band I was ever in. So I honestly wouldn't have been in a band today if you and I didn't think like, yo, let's be in a band together and start something up. So
Well,
my music career goes back with you, man, which is a pretty cool truth.
dude, I got a lot of love for you, and I got a lot of love for what we did in that time. You, David, Justin, the Saving Serenity Squad. It was such a good
Yeah.
time, and we all got together, gave us something to do. We had fun, and it's something the four of us are always going to be able to share together. And I'm glad you're keeping up with it, man. I'm glad
Yeah,
you're still drumming. You've taken your talents to the Midwest. It's just fucking cool to watch, man. It's just a chain reaction. It's like no matter what, like when you're out there fucking playing drums, it's just I don't know. It fulfills something as your former bandmate in me knowing you're out there killing it
no,
playing drums in Iowa.
yeah, man, it's just something I've always loved. Love playing drums. I love being in a band, and so I could tell you a pretty cool story about how we formed up.
Please do.
I, you mentioned Maddie. She comes from a family who is super, super good at cooking, and so I was working over the summer at my job in Iowa City, and I was like, you know what? I want to be a better cook. And so I thought, let me go on Craigslist and find a job as a cook. And an ad popped up for our favorite restaurant in Iowa City. And so I was like, all right, let's look it up. Let's see what's up. And so I walked in there and I told them, yeah, I work for the university. I want to be a better cook. And I was thrown online, and so I started doing a lot of cooking, and I did I did what they call garm chef. So I made a lot of salads. I put together all the appetizers, fried the chicken, the fries, did a lot of prep. And so it was fun. I learned a lot. And through that, I met who are now the chefs of this restaurant. And we were just hanging out, talking music. They're like, "Oh, you play drums?" And I was like, "Yeah, I play drums." And they're like, "Okay, well, let's hang out and maybe we can make some music." And I think I kind of surprised them when we started playing together because I wasn't some schmuck that was like, "Oh, I play drums," like I knew what I was doing, and we stuck together, and we've been a band for over 2 years. And so it's pretty cool to say that we have a lot of songs on tap. We actually had a show last night, which is fun. A bar that really likes us asked us to play a show. But yeah, hopefully sometime soon we can get some music out and up on Spotify. We have a song on Bandcamp. But I would really love for our band to just, hit the airwaves and people hear us. I would say it's definitely a little bit more on the punk rock side, but we love our music. We have a lot of fun making noise.
Well, dude, man, whenever you guys start dropping tunes, you gotta let me know. I'm gonna promote it up people's assholes, like for real.
Yeah, no, yeah. I wish I had stuff to share with you now. It's just it brewing in the making. We didn't want to.
It's in the pipeline.
Sure. We didn't want to make a product that wasn't good, right? You gotta make sure it's good before you let it out. So yeah, we just have been cautious about what we are playing.
What you put out there, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we want it to be good. We don't want it to sound like it's mediocre, even though it is just a hobby on the side. We all have our day jobs, and we just all love music, and that's what we share together. Same way you and I shared music, man. That's how I've made so many friends.
Yeah, dude, it's a beautiful thing, man. Like playing music with friends is just, it's such a, like, for lack of a better term, seriously, it's like a religious experience. It's like you're all, it's like you come together every Sunday and you do the ritual. And the ritual for us was go to my fucking basement. Let's play the same 6 songs and then jam for a half hour and go home. Like,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it's just fun, right? And you fall in time, you fall in tempo, you build chemistry. It's just good stuff. I still won't forget, man. There was a time that I covered for your band Termina, and I still have the shirt to this day.
Dude, fuck it, that was a great show. That was a great show.
It was a great show. I remember you and I kind of threw together a little rig in your basement, and me and you just jammed for a little bit, and man, we had some good tunes there. And I don't even know if those were things that you wrote in your own or covers, but like I was just like, sure, let me throw a few things together, and we just made music in your basement for kind of the last time, which was a little neat. Now that I look back on it.
Yeah, no, that was the last time we were together. That was the last live show I've played in Long Island, at least for now. And it was great sharing it with you because it was kind of like giving me a little blast from the past, a little taste of what used to be. And the Termina guys, like the 3 of us are still together. We're still writing music. We still get together and record. They bring you up all the time. They
love it.
Yeah, dude, they bring you up all the time. They're like, how's K-Mac doing? Like they remember that show very fondly. Yeah, man. I mean, it's something. It's something you and I are always gonna share, and I'll always remember that.
Yeah, dude. No. What was the name of the venue? Oh my gosh,
the Ethical Humanist Society.
Yeah, if there wasn't a worse name for a venue, gosh, right? Yeah. Let's go sing about love, God, and drugs at the Ethical Humanist Society. That's a great idea, kids. Yeah.
Do you remember the sign? Deed before creed.
Deed before creed. I'm sure there are pictures that exist with us, like, rocking out, with that in the background, and here we are.
I like to think that everybody that saw that sign thought that us or Butterfly Convict or Allies or Along the Falls, they thought we were all just Creed cover bands, and it was a Creed cover band convention.
Yeah.
Society.
Oh my god! Yeah, at the Ethicalist Humanist. I don't even know how to say it. Yeah, it's just
that was a good time. I also have fond memories of.
Dude, you're right.
I think these are still the college years when you would come back to visit, and we'd meet up and we'd just go ride bikes for a fucking hour, an hour or two. Are you still into that? Are you still riding bikes all the time?
Oh, So I love riding bikes. I honestly just took my bike out. The weather is getting really nice here in Iowa, so I just took mine. Took mine back on the road, right? It was kind of out of commission for a little bit, but no, man, I love riding. It's always been a hobby of mine. I had this pretty lofty goal of, riding through states, and me and a friend in college, we did ride from Massachusetts to Vermont, which was like a lifetime experience. That was super cool. So I could say I crossed, that state off my list, going between those borders, but if I could bike, to like in every state in America, that would be unreal, right? But I just love biking. It's a good hobby, good way to stay in shape. Not really bad on your joints or your bones and stuff like that, but you get to go from A to B, and it's an adventure. I love biking.
Well, it's a good way to get around, man. Me and my girlfriend Charlotte are actually headed to Amsterdam in like 2 months, and one of the things we keep looking at is that everybody bikes everywhere. So we're looking forward to literally biking from A to B throughout the whole fucking trip.
Yeah, man. That is so cool. That is so cool. And it's kind of weird if you were to ask other people that live in Iowa City here, biking's kind of like a
Yes.
thing around here. I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm not kidding
Mhm.
you. Do you remember when that polar vortex was going around? You remember that it was like a few months ago. It was like the coldest weather ever. Well, I'm not kidding you. It was so cold. They brought the Chicago polar bear from the zoo inside. It was so cold, like like that's how cold it was. But in Iowa City, the day there was that polar vortex, I saw two people riding their bikes like to and from wherever they were going. And so that just shows you the kind of people that live around here and how much biking is a thing. Like people just bike everywhere regardless if it's negative 50 outside or if it's 119 degrees. It's
That's tough as fuck, dude. That's tough as fuck. I gotta say, here's a little anecdote from when I lived elsewhere. When I was in Carolina, if there was torrential downpour, they shut the whole fucking county down. Like nobody left, nobody was outside.
yeah.
But damn, people in Iowa, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. No, man. There are some crazy people here. I mean, really, like the weather gets nice, and they're like, "Oh, let me take my shorts off and go for a run," and then it's like, "Oh, the next day it's 20 degrees outside. Oh, let me get my winter coat back on." Iowa's cool. It's just crazy weather, but that's the Midwest, man. Um, you ask anybody from the Midwest, they just kind of have this expectation.
So I have to ask you. I have to ask you. 'Cause it's something
Yeah.
I've never really experienced. Because everywhere I've lived, whether it's been college or when I grew up, or Carolina, or back here in Plainview, what's it like being so far away from a large body of water?
That's funny you say that. I mean, so what's large, right? Like you think of the Atlantic Ocean, right? Like that's pretty large, but I have a river that runs through my town, and so I see water every day. Like it's not like it's not like
You must see
I'm
water more
not.
than I do, then.
Well, I maybe not. I don't know. I do live in a cornfield state, right? If I go outside the city 5-10 minutes, I'm gonna hit the sticks, man, and I'm gonna see a lot of open spaces and a lot of cornfields and a lot of that, and that's fine. Like it is what it is. But yeah, like the University of Iowa has a rowing team. Like there's a river here. People utilize the water. There's lakes around here. So yeah, you're not on an island surrounded by water, and there are parts about Long Island I definitely miss, but the water factor isn't it, right? I can enjoy the water still. I think
Well, I mean, it's not a beach, right? But yeah.
it's not a beach. No, of course it's not a beach. All right, you're such a Long Islander making that argument. I know it's not a beach, right? But like, God,
Listen, the beach is like all we have, dude. Like that's the hill I have to die on, Long Islander.
I know, but take 5 of your friends and ask them when was the last time they went to the beach. Like it's such a hassle, especially when it's nice. Everyone and their mother's like, "Oh, let's go roast like hot dogs on the beach," and then all of a sudden they look like leather couches because they spend every day on the beach because it's nice. You know who I'm talking
I
about,
hear
Long
you.
Islanders. I live 1,000 miles away. I don't forget this shit. I know who you are.
So now I have to ask you, while we're building off your new home here, are the potatoes really better? Like, are the Iowa potatoes fucking A1 gold standard?
Uh, so I was known for corn. I'll get that
Ah, I got it
first.
backwards. I got it backwards.
Idaho is known for potatoes. So Iowa corn is awesome. Dude, the food out here is so good. I'm not kidding you. One of the first times I came out to Iowa City, I was taken to a burger joint downtown, and I was looking
So
on the
it's straight
menu
up
and
on the
reading the menu,
table.
and it said on your menu, uh, your burger was raised 8.1 miles away from here. And so it's dude, a lot of places around here are farm to table. And that restaurant that I told you I worked at, the quality of food they try to put out is unreal. They've been featured in Time Magazine and other things like that for their burger and whatnot. I think no, sorry, New York. I forget. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But the restaurant called Pullman, Pullman Bar and Diner. It's me and Maddie's favorite restaurant. That's a little plug for them. They have the best burger in Iowa City. But yeah, dude. So the food around here is so damn good, especially like the meat. they take a lot of pride in pork and beef and good chicken. The food here is really, really good.
Well, that's awesome, man. If you enjoy food, it sounds like Iowa City is an easy place to get comfortable.
Yeah, and I will say this: I love all those foods I mentioned, but holy shit, do I miss pizza and bagels? Because I'm not going to get it anywhere better when I'm on Long Island, and I'm just going to put that out. Like that is the truth. And
Listen, man, every area has its strengths. We're really good at carbohydrates out here.
yeah, and the pizza and the bagels are top notch. I have flown bagels from Long Island to the Midwest to give to Maddie's family because they requested them. They are so good, and
How did they react? Did they think they were the best bagels ever?
they are. They are. I mean, they've had them more than once, so they know. They know. They are the best bagels. They just are.
They know. They get it.
Right? When I came to Iowa City, I asked, "Oh, where's the closest deli?" And they're like, "Deli? Like you can buy cold cuts at the supermarket." And I'm like, "What the fuck? Like this is no, there's no deli, right? Like I can't just walk anywhere and get a sausage, egg, and cheese, right? I can't just go look for a hero, like they don't sell those around here." So Brugger's Bagels doesn't cut it. I like some pizza shops around town, but that's just my personal preference. It's just not Long Island pizza.
Bro, I wonder. I'm astounded. I feel like the Brugger Bagel Empire is bigger than anyone in New York could ever imagine. Because when I was in Carolina, that's all people fucking ate. Brugger's Bagels. Brugger's Bagels. Oh, you're from New York? How are their bagels compared to Brugger's? Do they just have like a monopoly on bagels outside New York?
How's the bagels compared to Brugger's? That's a backward ass question. That is so funny. That's just so funny. Oh man, I will tell you this. When I moved out to Iowa City, one of the first places that someone told me to try food was Casey's, and I was like, okay, what is Casey's known for? They're like, Casey's has the best pizza, and if you've ever watched the pizza guy from Barstool, he went to a Casey's in Iowa City and he tried their breakfast pizza, but that's whatever. But someone told me go to Casey's, and I was like, oh, what is this place? They're like, oh, it's a gas station, and I was offended that they told me to go eat pizza at a gas station because I'm like, pizza from a gas station, and like, and that's what they like. That's what they love, and it's like whatever. It's a pizza, but man, it's not New York pizza. New York bagels, they're not out here. I do love the food. I'm so not picky, but anytime I'm home, I am overloaded on pizza and bagels and time with my family. Really, that is literally it. I love those three things.
I mean, that's New York for you, baby. Pizza, bagels, and time with the family. That's what New York's about.
Dude, 110%. But yeah, no, I love Iowa City. I do miss New York. East Coast would be cool to live back. Don't know if I'd ever move back to Long Island, but I love visiting. Love all the people that live there. Just I've made some roots out here in Iowa City. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, dude. It's awesome that you're able to spread yourself out like that. And I'm sure, like, while your friends and family miss you, like, it's got to be cool to have a spot they can visit. Like, I don't want to call it a free vacation spot, but just but just a new place they can go to where someone can show them around.
Yeah, it's I mean, you'd never really have an excuse to come out here unless you had one. And if you're looking to try something new, yeah, this is a cool place to do it. It's neat. It's a really really neat place. It kind of flies under the radar, Iowa isn't the sexiest of states, right? But I like it.
Hell yeah! I want to swing this back around full circle, back to football for a little. Back
Please
to football
do.
for a little bit. I want to know if I understand this correctly. Did you rent out a bar for the Super Bowl?
Did I rent out a bar for the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Maybe I saw something on fucking like Instagram or something, but it looked like you like for some reason I don't know why this idea was in my head. To me, it looked like you rented out like half a bar for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I could tell you what you probably saw was me at a bar with my dad and his friends. My dad's name is Kevin. My name's Kevin. My dad's friend's name is Kevin, and we all happen to be Rams fans. And so the bar that my dad goes to, they have a TV that says underneath it, Kevin's Rams. And so we watched the Super Bowl on that TV because I didn't want to be anywhere else to watch the Super Bowl, regardless if they won or lost. I wanted to be with my family. So I found a way to fly out for the weekend quick and see the Super Bowl with my family in the bar that my dad watches every Ram game in. So that bar is in Wantagh. It's called Sal's Place. Really great place. They treat us well. Really good beer, really good food. But we celebrated the Rams going to the Super Bowl. That's what I'll say. We celebrated the Rams being in the Super Bowl there.
I don't want to come down on you, but there wasn't much more to celebrate that day. But it gave it a great fun. It was an amazing run.
Yeah,
I do want to say that the Rams were a fun ass team to watch that season. And the thing I loved the most that I think the entire NFL is going to adapt is the Sean McVay rule of them not wearing pads during the week. I think that paid dividends as the season went on.
Oh, you think so? So you're saying
Yes.
And
he said a lot of his starters don't wear pads during the week, during the practice.
During the weeks gets them more pumped for the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of the NFL, because the fucking Rams, even though you guys lost Gurley at the end, you guys stayed incredibly healthy compared to most other teams, and you guys had a lot of steam in the engine at the end of the year. Not all teams can say that. A lot of teams do run out of gas.
Yeah. No, yeah, and it would have been nice for them to finish strong, but dude, I'm excited.
How could
for the
you
Rams
not be?
still. I think they got a great young offense. Yeah, it's really, really fun to watch. They got a lot of tools on defense, which is great. My favorite player to watch in the NFL is Aaron Donald. He is a monster. I seriously think he's the best player in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised if someday we see him go into the Hall of Fame. And that might be a little biased, but dude, I've never seen anybody move men the way Aaron Donald does it on a football field. It's pretty cool to watch.
So let me ask you, is Jared Goff a Super Bowl quarterback?
Well, right now he went to Super Bowl.
He's getting close.
So I wouldn't say he's getting close. He's closer than others. I think there's some maturity with Jared Goff. But man, I really liked what I saw. Gosh, he's made some pretty huge steps in the last 3 years. I can only imagine what he's going to be doing the next 6, 9, however many years, right?
I just want to say the Jared Goff from this previous season compared to the one 2 seasons ago, that was a crazy skill gap jump. Just that alone.
Yeah, and I think you gotta credit McVay. He kind of tooled into some of the things and credits his coaching. Goff was clearly good enough to be the number 1 pick. The Rams traded up to get him. They wanted him. Some people really questioned it. I myself questioned it, right? I even said, hey, Carson Wentz looks good. Carson Wentz looks like a really good quarterback, and clearly he put
him in position.
I can't say he brought them to a Super Bowl, but here you go. You got 2 quarterbacks that went exactly right. And so there's a good question for you there. You asked me, is Jared Goff a Super Bowl quarterback? He brought them there, so I guess maybe. But let me ask you: is Carson Wentz a Super Bowl quarterback? Did he bring them there?
I don't have any playoff games to make a basis on this. I mean, Carson Wentz has proven that he can come through in the clutch moments, but we haven't seen him do that in the playoffs. Whereas Jared Goff, as we've illustrated, has had gotten his feet wet in the playoffs and has made it to the Super Bowl. So I'm not coming at Jared Goff. I don't want to make it seem that way. Yeah.
Oh no, dude, not at all.
Me too.
I like both guys coming out. Really.
Me too. I like them both. I want to see Jared Goff do it because it seems like he's got the Rams just seem like the perfect team in the NFL right now. What they just needed was Jared Goff to put up 30 points, and we could say what reasons why he did it. Could be the Patriots defense, could be the lack of Todd Gurley, could have been the butterflies, whatever it was. But they're one good Jared Goff performance away from the Super Bowl, and I think that's what makes the Rams, at least for me, one of the more excited teams to watch going into next season.
Well, it makes me happy to hear you say that. I couldn't agree with you more. I think if you don't throw one interception, maybe the game changes, right? I think his front foot slipped on that throw, right? This is just a game of football, a game of inches, right? It just is what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just the roll of the dice, I honestly, I really feel like 9 times out of 10, you guys at least put up 25, 30 points against that Patriots defense. This was just the one time out of 10 where you didn't. I really believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you did mention Todd Gurley earlier. Kind of stunk that he kind of tapered
Yeah.
off towards the end of the season. It was health related, I'm sure of it, but I just want him to be back to himself, right? He is a stud, and so if we could have him running our offense next year, I feel like we'll be back in the same seat we were.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see you guys there. I think going in, you guys are definitely the front runners in the NFC. I got a funny story about Todd Gurley in the Super Bowl. So, random fun fact. For some reason, Todd Gurley and I are
Yeah.
friends on LinkedIn. And like, this is the official Todd Gurley page. I don't think he runs it. He has people who do that for him. But the whole Super Bowl, I kept messaging his inbox like, Todd, where you at? Todd, what's
Yeah.
going on? Todd, I got $50 on the Rams today. Todd, why aren't you playing? Todd, why is CJ Anderson getting more touches? Todd, what the fuck, man?
Todd. You sound like Mel Kiper. Todd. Right?
I checked to see like a week later to see if anyone even looked them. No one's even looked at those messages. They're just in the ether.
Sure. Yeah. Some Todd Gurley out there is gonna respond someday.
All right, but we definitely got to wrap this up soon. I don't know if you want to plug where people can find your band on Bandcamp or SoundCloud, or where they can find you. Any final messages you have? I just want to give you the microphone to close this out.
Yeah, man. I guess I'll say a few things. Very thankful for having me on. I'm so glad that you're getting a chance to, do this and pursue a passion of yours. I'm glad I get to be a brick in the wall that you build. My band, I'll let you guys know. We have a Facebook. It's Bain-Marie, BAIN-MARIE, and so we put out some shows and videos, and we'll put out music there. But tomorrow's the NFL draft. I'm super pumped for it. That's the real reason why I wanted to come on here and talk with you. I know you love sports. I'm super pumped about the draft. I've been doing my homework, and I'm very, very thankful I got to talk with you, got to talk about football, got to talk about myself. But seriously blessed to catch up with a good friend, my man.
Likewise, dude. Love being able to catch up. So everybody, listening to a unique episode. We phoned Kevin MacBride in from Iowa. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the NFL draft. Kevin MacBride, I can't thank you enough for doing it. Thank you, dude.
Enjoy the NFL draft. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, it's completely, it's off the charts. What would you be like? What would you be like?